Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bearded Baldcast Sports Show. It does not officially have that name, but we'll come up with ideas. We'll have you guys come up with ideas. My name is Victor Sepulveda. I hail from California, and to my left is.
Joe Miller. I'm in Detroit, Michigan.
All right, and today we're gonna go
We're
over a variety of
gonna,
topics. We're gonna do college football playoffs, the brackets, the seedings, the absolute insanity that will be this weekend with the conference championship games. We're gonna dive into the most anticipated F1 title in such a long time, and we'll top it off with the NFL playoffs and who's looking to get in, and the most important games of this weekend. So let's get right into the college football playoff conference championship games. We're going to start off with North Texas versus Tulane, the American Conference Championship game. Joe, go ahead, take the floor right now. I'll chime in whenever.
yeah, um, this is honestly probably my must-watch game of the week. It's actually tonight, the night that we're recording this. The game is being played tonight. North Texas, 2.5 point favorites, 11-1 against Tulane, who's 10-2. And, for this North Texas team, they've scored 50 plus points in 7 games. They're 31 points is the lowest they've scored all year. Freshman running back for them, Caleb Hawkins. He's been phenomenal. 1,200 yards, 23 touchdowns, averaging 6.3 yards a carry. And then for Tulane, Tulane, John Sumrall just left Tulane to take that Florida job. And one of their losses this year is to Old Miss, which is a really good loss. Old Miss is sitting projected to be in that playoff spot. So, this is one of my most watched anticipated games of the year. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, I looked at that Tulane loss earlier, and you say it's a good loss, but getting drummed, I think it was 54 to about 10. It, there's not much good to look at
Yeah,
there. You look
it
like you're getting
was.
exposed. Yeah. So good loss is a little iffy word to use, but you put up a fight against Ole Miss for however long you could. Ole Miss
Right.
again, like you said, they're sitting I think sixth right now in the playoff bracket, maybe a bit lower, maybe a bit higher, but they're in, right? And obviously Ole Miss is a whole different story. We'll cover another time. But then you also lost to the University of Texas San Antonio. It's not a good loss. It's a
Yeah.
little,
No, that one's not.
yeah, it's a little concerning when you look at it. But you faced North Texas earlier. I believe that you lost to them earlier as well. Let me double check that real quick. Um Oh, they did not meet earlier this season. I'm thinking about a different game. All right. So you haven't met North Texas yet. And like you said earlier, North Texas is a powerhouse. 7-1 in conference record. They're second in passing yards per game in the entire nation, and first in points per game. So realistically, you got to find a way to stop that. You got to find a way to stop that North Texas offense because it is not. It's not going to be a good time. Their defense allows 24 points per game, which is a bit high. Obviously you want to kind of get that down, and they do allow over 200 rushing yards per game. And I think Tulane, if I was reading correctly, they average about 200 rushing yards a game. So not too bad. Gives you a bit of chance to kind of chew the clock up, keep them off the field, keep that high-powered offense off the field, and just like football always is, if you get one stop is all you need sometimes to win this game.
Yeah, this game is going to be a straight shootout, to be honest. Like you mentioned, Tulane's going to have to put up a ton of points if they want to get this win. But the big thing they have on their side, which is a huge advantage for them, is their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff. Pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. But he's got 2,700 passing yards while also having 561 rushing yards. He got 14 passing touchdowns and 14 rushing touchdowns. So he's going to have to be a huge productive factor for Tulane. And he's going to have to be effective not only throwing the ball, but also running the ball. So Tulane's success to victory here is you're just gonna have to outscore an incredibly tough and powerful North Texas offense.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, 14 passing touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns, and the leading rusher, which is a little concerning for Tulane. I'm gonna be honest, but like I said, they average about 167, 168 rushing yards a game. So a lot of QB draws probably. QB draws or just pass the ball, do a lot of clear outs, hopefully in man coverage, and just have Retzlaff kind of go and get as much as he can. Because again, rushing yards are a little bit inflated when you scramble. So I think,
Right.
like you said, key to victory for Tulane, 100%, Retzlaff. It's on his shoulders. He's got to find a way. That defense has to just come up with stops somehow, some way. It's not going to be a pretty game for them if they can't get a single one. Because again, North Texas, first in points per game, second in passing yards per game. So you got to shore up that secondary, and you got to shore up the defense as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this game.
Oh yeah, and like you said, it's like it's at 5:00 today, right? Yeah, 5:00 today. There's a game
Yeah,
going on
5
right
o'clock
now.
for you, 8 p.m. for me.
Yeah, so we're trying to get this out before so we can watch that game. But so we'll move on from that one. Next we have BYU versus Texas Tech. That's going to be the Big 12 championship. This is the second meeting this season. This is the game I was talking about. Texas Tech, I believe they beat BYU earlier this season, and it wasn't a complete whooping, but
It was, yeah, Texas Tech beat BYU 29-7.
29
It
to
was
7.
that was one of the games I watched that week. It was not good for BYU. They were struggling offensively, couldn't really get anything going on the defensive side of the ball to stop Texas Tech. But it's always tough to play a team twice, especially in such a close amount of time. They played less than a month ago. Now they got to play each other again, this time on a neutral site. So it'll be really interesting to see how this game goes.
Absolutely. And that game was at home for Texas Tech. So again, that gives the advantage to TT. And BYU, that was the only game they scored under 24 points. So credit to the Texas Tech defense, because it's kind of hard to do when the team that you're stopping has scored. Let me find it right here. I got BYU pulled up. They scored 69, 27, 34, 24, 38. So they're scoring heavy, and the only game they don't score over 24 points is Texas Tech, right? They're above 24 in each other one. So you gotta be careful with that. They gotta find a way. They gotta find the answers. You have the film from less than a month ago. They just fought you guys, and I mean you're averaging about 195 rushing yards per game. Again, kind of like Tulane, chew up the clock. Find a way to keep Texas Tech off the field. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of looking into the statistics of the last time it played, and running BYU running back LJ Martin, he only had 35 yards on 10 carries. They need to use him more in this game and try to establish a run game against this good Texas Tech defense that's led by obviously linebacker Jacob Rodriguez, who is currently tied for fifth in the Heisman odds. And he's been outstanding all year, 101 tackles, 7 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions. But he's really got to be that dominant leader for this Texas Tech team if they want to try to duplicate what they did less than a month ago on BYU.
Absolutely. And again, the playoffs on this, Texas Tech, win or lose, they're going to be in. They're going to be in. BYU, however, lose and you're out. It feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I believe they're ranked 11th right now. You lose, you're gone. So win or go home for BYU. And, some teams, when their back's to the wall, you see a different team. So we're hoping to see that from BYU today. Texas Tech, obviously ranked 4th overall. Again, they're going to be in it regardless. They might drop a couple of spots. They might not. But we'll see. Yeah, a huge offensive game plan for Texas Tech, and I don't know if BYU can keep up. Quite honestly, my pick for the Tulane Tech North Texas game, I think North Texas is gonna win, and for this one, I do think Texas Tech will take the victory as well.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I'm rocking with North Texas for the American Conference game, but Texas Tech 12.5 point favorites according to DraftKings in this game against BYU, and I would probably take that spread for Texas Tech.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was gonna mention something else about this game. I totally forgot. Well, forgot it. Well, it looks like we're gonna move on to the new one. Sorry, everyone. First time doing this. Second time doing this, but we're trying to get better.
Yeah, this is our first show. Cut us some slack here. Cut us some
Yeah,
slack.
we're gonna be better. I promise. It's only gonna get better. All right. So we're gonna move on to
every week.
Yeah,
every
exactly. It's just like a football team. Every loss is an opportunity to be better. We're gonna review the film.
We're like yeah. Yeah, we're like Notre Dame. Lose the first two, and then you just dominate every other week.
Unfortunate that they dominated USC, but it happened.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the SEC championship game, and this is a repeat of the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Georgia, Alabama. Not much needs to be said here. It's a huge
doesn't get much better.
Yeah, it really doesn't. It's gonna go down to the wire like it did their first meeting this season, in which Alabama won 24-21, and everyone thought, oh, this game is gonna turn Alabama around, and then Alabama went out and lost one more game after that. I believe it was to Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yep.
Yeah, let's go check that out real quick. Alabama right here. They started off the season losing to Florida State. Then they go on the road. 5 weeks after beating Georgia, they lose their second game of the season, and it's Oklahoma. And it's just like the Georgia game. They lost kind of in the last waning minutes. So I still think Alabama has that grit, has that power, that mindset that Georgia is an SEC team, and we're the SEC kings. There's no one that's gonna topple us, especially in Georgia where Alabama hasn't lost in I don't know how long. They run Georgia, so
they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. You would anything you want to add?
No, I mean this is just one of those classic games that you wake up on conference championship weekend, and you got that sitting standalone game 4:00. I will say the spread is Georgia minus 2.5. However, in my opinion, I think history doesn't lie. So I would take Alabama plus 2.5. I would like to get that 3 just so I could at least split it if they lose by 3, but I'll take Alabama plus 2.5 would be my bet on this game.
Yeah, and my pick would be Alabama too. Again, Alabama hasn't lost to Georgia in they haven't lost to Georgia since 2021, the national championship game, and that was back when it was just 4 teams. So it's hard. Obviously, no Nick Saban. It's been like that for 2 years, and even without Nick Saban, Crimson Tide, they just keep rolling. However, Georgia, I will say, obviously key for Georgia, pass the ball to Zachariah Branch, and key for Alabama, stop Zachariah Branch. Right, you're averaging 32 points per game. Your defense is holding your opponents to less than 17. Those are good numbers as an average for a team, right? You're ranked 3rd. You have the ranking. It's in Georgia. It's set up for you to win, quite honestly. But again,
yeah, this is essentially a home game for Georgia, like you said. Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz, they're there every year. They win it when they don't come across Alabama.
So yeah, I think this is a game that should be won by Georgia, but will be won by Bama for sure. My opinion. Don't hate me. But we'll move on next to the game. Obviously not the rivalry game. That one was last weekend. Joe, we'll let you talk about that after. Shed your tears.
There's
Um,
nothing. There's nothing to say about that. Nothing to say about that game.
uh,
That's what should have happened last year.
that
It
should
should have
have.
been worse last year, but
Yeah.
Michigan won last year. So
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State is just better than Michigan. But we're not here to talk about Michigan.
Yet. No, I'm just kidding. So you already introduced one of the teams we're going to talk about next, Ohio State. I'll let you take over the start for this one. Ohio State, Indiana.
Yeah, 1 versus 2. I mean, this game was basically almost a pencil-in game since week 3, probably. Ryan Day, Kurt Signetti, Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sain. I mean, those guys are neck and neck for the Heisman right now. If you go look, the betting odds, it's a plus 160, plus 170, plus 180 for those two guys, as well as Diego Pavia. But I mean, this is the game of the weekend. I know I said I'm most excited about Texas, Northern Texas, and Tulane tonight, but overall, the quality of play you're going to see from these two teams is going to be off the charts. And, funny enough, I looked at the ESPN analytics, and they say that Indiana actually is a slight favorite that they like at a 50.6% to win, and Ohio State at 49.4%, which I found interesting. I don't know if you find that interesting because I find that interesting because Ohio State is -4 betting favorite for this game. But I mean, let's start with Indiana first. Fernando Mendoza, been arguably one of the best quarterbacks this year in college football. 2,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. And then you look at on the defensive side of them, linebacker roll. Oh man, roll a jaw, roll jaw. I don't know.
I got you. Give me
He's got
1
7.
second.
Yeah, I'm not the pronunciation. I'm not sure. I've never been good at
Let me
pronouncing names.
Let
But
me go find him real quick.
yeah, the linebacker for them. He's got 77 tackles, 7 sacks on the year. And you got to look, Indiana's close. They have 3 close wins this year. One on against Penn State. At Penn State, they won last second touchdown. Oregon on the road beat them by 10, and then they won at Iowa by 5. So those are their 3 close wins. Now I know you can look at that Penn State win and say, well, they shouldn't have been in that situation if they're that good, because look at Penn State's record. But Penn State still has a phenomenal defense. I know they fired James Franklin. I know Drew Aller was out for the year, but their defense stayed the same throughout the year. That Penn State win, in my opinion, is a great win. And then that Oregon win, that you go to Oregon, to Eugene in a hostile environment, and you win by 10. And the Iowa win, that's just a gritty win for them. So I really like Indiana this year. And to be honest, the loser of this game could stay in the top 4. I mean, Indiana loses, they could go down to 3 or 4. And then if Ohio State loses, they maybe drop to 2. They just flip flop with Indiana. And then look at this Ohio State team. I mean, this is arguably on paper the best team in the country, and it's not even really close, to be honest. Quarterback Julian Sain, just over 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then look at the receivers. Jeremiah Smith, one of the betting favorites for the Heisman. I think he's in 4th place for the betting favorite, or he's tied in 5th place. And then Carnell Tate also. I mean, those guys Carnell Tate's going to be a first-round pick. Jeremiah Smith, only a sophomore. So this game is going to be electric.
Yeah, this game's got it all. And, from what you said whoever loses is going to drop down to 4th. I think whoever loses should stay number 2. I think regardless of what happens, these two teams are 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I don't think there's other teams that even come close to touching them. Georgia's got its flaws. I'm going to go down the rankings real fast. Give me 1 second. I think number 3 is Georgia. I know that for sure. Texas Tech, you got that 1 loss. And yes, obviously between the loser of Ohio State and Indiana, you'll have a loss as well. But there's nobody touching these teams. Oregon, they've got their loss to Indiana. Ole Miss is gonna be it's a very exciting team for sure. The departure of Lane Kiffin, we'll get that in another video, but I think they're still gonna be an exciting, hungry team. And then you got Texas A&M, and after that you have two lost teams. So I think, in my personal opinion, the loser of this team does not leave the top two because there's not a single team catching up to either one of them, genuinely. And like you said, you got the
Yeah,
two.
yeah. I
Two
think.
go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say my only caveat to that would be is if Georgia and Texas Tech both win, they'll have the same record as Indiana, and they'll be or Ohio State, and they'll be conference champions. So that would be my only thing to why I think they would go down to 4, because you can't move Oregon into the top 4 not playing this weekend, and you also can't put Ole Miss, who's not playing, and you can't put Texas A&M because none of those teams are playing this weekend. So my thing would be is if, let's say, Indiana loses to Ohio State, Georgia wins, Texas Tech wins, you just slide those two up to 2 and 3, and Indiana would drop down to 4.
Yeah,
That would be my
yeah,
my
and that
take
does,
on it, just because of their conference champions.
and yeah, I agree with that. I didn't even think about that aspect. Again, they have to win, of course. So if, let's say, by
Of
some
course.
some act of God up there, uh, obviously one of Indiana or Ohio State has to lose, and Georgia and Texas Tech lose. Let's say all three of those lose. I'd say you keep the top 4 the same. Right? Actually, no, because you'd have to move. You'd have to move again. Yeah, you'd have to move some of them up.
That would be a huge problem if Georgia and Texas Tech lose for the committee. Then you got some real dicey things for them to do. And I mean, we haven't gotten to it yet, but I think they're already going to be in a difficult spot as it is, this
Yeah,
committee.
exactly. And just like that, I think we did. We forgot the Duke Virginia game, huh? We didn't do that.
We did. We forgot that game.
Yeah, we were gonna move that up. Well, last on the list, Duke Virginia ACC championship. Um, very quick, because we do want to get to the major committee decision. Duke Virginia, Duke in at 7-5. They're in through a complicated tiebreaker, and I researched this.
Yeah.
They're in because they had a higher conference opponent winning percentage, meaning that the teams they beat had a higher winning percentage in their conference. They also lost 3 non-conference games and 2 conference games, which is insane because you have Miami in there. You have there's the other team. There's Miami, and then there is
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. 2 teams that are also 2 lost conference teams. But again, Duke had the higher conference opponent winning percentage. So they're going to face 10-2 Virginia, who are ranked. And I think this is going to be an easy sweep. Virginia just steamrolls Duke. Maybe not steamrolls, but no chance that Duke comes in here and wins this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be similar to when they played 2 weeks ago. Virginia won 34-17, kind of a non-competitive game in my opinion. But, Duke is a gritty team. They're tough. They have a ton of receivers they can throw to, but that, all have almost 500 yards, and 2 of them have over 500 yards. Or yeah, 2 of them have over 500 yards. But I think this Virginia team they're just too good. They've only allowed over 21 points in 4 of their games played this year, and 2 of those games were in overtime. One of them was to Florida State, where they allowed 38, and that was in double overtime, and Louisville, where they allowed 27. Those were back-to-back weeks. So this game is, I think Virginia should walk them here, to be honest. The spread is 4. I would take Virginia -4 in this game.
Absolutely. And just like that, speaking of ACC, we mentioned them earlier. Miami is on the outside looking in. And it's a problem because they're not in the conference championship, and they should be. And them not playing this weekend is an issue, especially with a win over a team that is already in the playoffs, Notre Dame. Notre Dame Miami is a topic that we definitely wanted to touch on because earlier in the season, on August 31st, Miami met Notre Dame and beat them in regulation 27-24. So they have a head-to-head victory over the number 10 team in the nation, but they're on the outside looking in with a very slim chance to get in because they're not competing in this weekend.
Yeah, this is a brutal spot for the committee because you have two 10-2 teams, Notre Dame and Miami, 10th ranked team who's sitting in at 10 right now, and Miami who's on the outside looking in. They're that second team looking in from the bubble. But, Notre Dame started off really slow. However, they started 0-2, but their two losses were to number 12 Miami and number 7 Texas A&M. Those are their only two losses on the year. And then if you look at their last 10 weeks, they basically rolled. I mean, rolled every team they've played. Jeremiah Love is going to be one of probably a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, Notre Dame running back. He's got 1,372 yards, 18 touchdowns, averaging almost 7 yards a carry. So, I mean, you have this Notre Dame team who's looked unbelievably good the last 10 weeks, or you have a 10-2 Miami team who has two of their losses are not very good losses in Louisville and SMU. But here's that thing is they have the head to head, like you mentioned, over Notre Dame. So now the committee's in a tough spot. So do you value the head to head, or do you go based on the eye test and say which team's been looking better these last few weeks? That's going to be a tough decision for the committee, especially considering if a few things play out this weekend, such as a Duke win, then the ACC could be in big trouble because if Duke wins, there's no way they get into the playoff at 8-5. There's just zero chance they do that. So Virginia will be out, Duke will be out, and then you're sitting here in this really difficult spot. Let's say BYU wins. Well, they have to get in. They're a conference winner. Let's say, let's say Alabama wins. So obviously you're going to keep Bama in and you're going to have Georgia in. So there could be a whole bunch of different things that play out this week. North Texas, Tulane, you got to put one of them in. So there's a whole bunch of things that could really shake up this committee. So I think a big problem for the committee would be a Duke win tomorrow night over Virginia. Then let's just put it this way. I would not want to be in that committee room on Sunday night, Monday morning, picking the hand picking teams to get into this playoff because a lot can happen.
Yeah, and I was reading earlier, a Duke win might guarantee 0 spots for the ACC, and
Right.
that is going to be a huge problem because again, Miami not even competing tomorrow. It's looking tough. It's really looking tough. So they're
Yeah.
on the outside looking in, hoping for some scores to go their way, but I don't think again Miami should be in over Notre Dame. But eye test says Notre Dame.
Right. Right.
Head to head
And then
says Miami.
yeah. Yeah, but here's an ideal situation for Miami, I think. I think for Miami, an ideal situation would be a Georgia win because I don't think they would put an Alabama team with 3 losses in, and then a Texas Tech beating BYU because then BYU would have 2 losses. I think if Georgia wins and Texas Tech wins, I think Miami will jump up because I think Bama will drop out of that playoff committee. They'll drop down. Notre Dame will move up, and then that will allow Miami to come in. But then you could argue, if BYU keeps it close against Texas Tech, they lose on a last second field goal. They have 2 losses as well. Do you favor them and put them in because they played this weekend, or do you put in a Miami team? So I mean, it like I said, and like we've been talking about, few different scenarios here, and this could get really ugly for who gets in, and there could be a lot of teams that are sitting home and wondering why Team A got in and we didn't.
Absolutely. So can't even no words. No words for this this college football committee. They're gonna struggle a bit this weekend. But well, there's your
Yeah, they're
college.
gonna struggle if some teams lose that they don't think are gonna lose.
Yeah.
Here's if you were in the committee, let me
Mm.
ask you if you were in the committee, and let's say the playoffs stay the same right now. So you have Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, 1 through 4, and then we'll just go, Notre Dame, Alabama. Who are you putting in? Are you favoring Notre Dame or Miami?
I hate to say it. Miami hasn't played the best of opponents, but neither has Notre Dame. Notre Dame's played 3 ranked opponents, and they've only been 1. And as a USC fan, this hurts to say, USC was fraudulent, I would say, this season. You had your chance. And had they beaten Notre Dame, which very well they could have, Notre Dame obviously not even in the playoffs, but it would just expose that Notre Dame isn't that top school that it always says it is, right? Now, again, Julian Love, a phenomenal player, top 10 pick for sure whenever he decides to go to the draft. But as of right now, I would say Notre Dame has been the team on fire. They're the team that's controlled the line of scrimmage. Their defense is just producing these results, and it's hard to not put them in right now, even with their loss to Miami. And I know a lot of Miami fans will say, the head-to-head, you don't respect the head-to-head, but I hate to say it, you can't, considering your scheduled opponents.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like the same situation as the 2023 committee right before there was 12 teams and there was only 4 when they put Alabama in over Florida State. I mean, we saw what Florida State looked like when um, their quarterback went down midway through the season, or a little over midway through the season. They weren't the same team, and Alabama went into the SEC championship, beat Georgia in 23, and they got that 4 spot at 12-1 when my Florida State was 13-0, sitting in at the 5 spot. And then you look and see, when Florida State played Georgia in that bowl game. Granted, Florida State didn't have all their players playing. They lost 63-0. So I think this committee values a lot on the eye test. They don't value the head to head as much. And for that reason, I think that's why they have Notre Dame in at 10 and Miami looking out.
Yeah. And can't blame them for that. But we are trying to keep this video short, so not to interrupt you. But we are gonna move on to our next topic. And this one, it's gonna be all Joe. It's gonna be mostly Joe. He's been following it from the beginning of the season. He's been holding out hope for this to happen all season long, and in the last month and a half, it's gonna happen, in my opinion.
Been good.
It's gonna happen. So we're gonna transition over to Formula One and the championship title race between Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, and Oscar Piastri. So Joe, go ahead, take it away. I'm gonna interject whenever I feel like I know enough to interject.
Yeah, I mean, this is as good as it gets. Similar to 2021, Lewis and Max went into Abu Dhabi with the same amount of points. This one's a bit different. Lando sitting at 408 for McLaren, Max Verstappen with Red Bull at 396, and Oscar Piastri with another McLaren driver at 392. Only 3 drivers eligible to win the championship here. McLaren already won the Constructors Championship, so this is just for the drivers here. But I mean, let's talk about the season as a whole first. You had a few driver lineup switches, rookies like Kimi Antonelli, Isaac Hadjar, Carlos Sainz moving from Ferrari to Williams, Lewis Hamilton finally leaving Mercedes and going to the Tifosi Red and Ferrari. But I mean, we had Nico Hulkenberg, first podium in his career. Had the, Victor, he had the record for 238 races without a podium in Formula One. That's the record. He
I
had it.
remember they made
No
a
longer,
huge deal about it.
yeah,
Oh shit.
yeah, no longer the record he finally broke. He did it. Carlos Sainz, 2 podiums with Williams this year. He said when he made that move to Williams, he said, don't expect to see me on podiums. We're getting ready for 2026 when the new regulations come in for the cars. He said he's got 2 podiums on the year for Williams. Made Williams go from ninth in the constructors up to fifth. They locked in that fifth spot for Williams. So Williams, big jump this year. I'm really excited. I think they're going to be very good for the next few years to come. Then Isaac Hadjar with the Racing Bulls had a podium. Kimi Antonelli, rookie from Mercedes, he had 3 podiums. But this is what it's all come down to: Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Abu Dhabi for the championship. Lando and Oscar chasing their first, Max for 5 in a row. Unbelievable. So right when the race ended last Sunday, the Qatar Grand Prix, Max won, Oscar took second, Lando took fourth. So I knew that the championship battle was not over. All Lando had to do was win the race, and he would have won the championship. So right away, right when the race ended, I started, looking at the points, and I started doing all these calculations. But luckily, Formula One earlier this week posted some pictures on their Instagram, some graphics of how the drivers can win the championship. So I'm going to ask you, Victor. I'm going to give a few scenarios. I want you to tell me what you think is most likely to happen in your eyes. So, so there's actually a ton of scenarios here, but I'm only going to do the ones that I feel are realistic. So simple, right? Lando takes first, second, or third in the race on Sunday. He wins the championship. It's all over. If Lando finishes fourth, Max Verstappen has to finish second or lower. If Lando takes fifth, Max still has to finish second or lower. If Lando takes sixth, Max has to finish second or lower, and Oscar has to finish second or lower. And if Lando takes seventh, Max, and same situation as sixth, Max and Oscar would have to finish lower than second place. And then so far on down the list, eighth, Max has to take third or lower. Basically, Max can't outscore him by 12 points. There's only 3 ways Max wins the championship. He wins the race. Lando has to take fourth or less. If Max takes second, Lando has to take eighth or lower, and Oscar has to finish third or lower. And if Max takes third in the race, Lando would have to finish ninth or lower, and Oscar would have to finish second or lower. There's only 2 ways Oscar can win the championship. He has to win the race, and Max can finish in any position he wants, or Lando would have to finish sixth or lower. Or if Oscar takes second place, Lando would have to place out of the points, except for 10th place. He can pick up 1 point for 10th, and Max would have to finish fourth or lower. So if you had to bet, your 2 most likely outcomes, what do you think those 2 outcomes would be?
I've known you a long time. Right? I've known you for 2 years now. And this year is when I finally started watching F1 kind of statistically and all of these things. Max, I think Max can win the race. I don't know if I can see Norris finishing fourth or lower. It would take a lot to have him finish fourth or lower. I think he might finish second or third, which at that point gives Norris his first one. I think Oscar can win the race. And those 3 have been the 3. It has to be them.
Right.
The only thing that I see happening where one of the 3 doesn't happen is like a 5-car collision at the beginning of the race. and none of them finish.
Yeah.
Right? In which case, I think Norris wins it. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if all three of them are wiped out in turn one,
yeah,
Lando will win it without even finishing the race.
exactly. So the way I see it, I see Max winning it, Oscar finishing second, and I do think Norris comes in third. I don't know if
Oh, so
there's
you'd take Lando to win the
I
championship?
do think Norris is gonna come home with
Yeah.
his first, and it's just hard. I don't see another car competing with them. Mercedes has been good, but they haven't been that great. Ferrari has been a mess all season long. Williams or
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz, if Carlos Sainz puts up the performance of his lifetime and gets a podium, manages to get third and knock off Lando Norris, we'll probably give Lando. We'll give Carlos Sainz a trophy just for managing to knock out Lando Norris. But it is just so hard to see any other car or driver finding a way to knock off any one of those three. I think the top three, regardless, is gonna be Norris, Max, and Oscar, not in that order. And I just don't see another car finding a way to come in. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. I would love Max to win his fifth in a row. It is just so hard with the way that the drivers have been driving this year to see anyone other than those three finishing in the top three.
Yeah, I mean, also again, we're recording this before qualifying, so we don't know where the drivers will be starting. But I mean, I completely agree with what you said. As much as I'm a Max guy, you know, Max is my guy. As much as I would love to see Max win 5 in a row, I just think the McLaren pace is too good. You know, it's just too good. But here's here's the one thing I think that could really mess up um, Lando is look at last week with their strategy. You know, they completely bottled the strategy on the safety car. They kept both drivers out when it was a mandatory two-stop race. Everyone pitted except them, and they allowed Max to win the race and stay in the fight. So, and also, Lando Lando's never been in this situation before. You have the championship title in your hands. Can you finish with Max Verstappen in your rearview mirrors? That's a that's a tall task to handle when you've never been in that situation before. And Max in the interviews yesterday and today, he's very calm, you know, same old Max. And I don't know, the stress could get to him, but I think that car is just too good. I think Lando will do it.
Yeah, and like you said, obviously they had the whole the board fiasco happen, I think, in Vegas, and that seemed to slow him
Yeah.
down in Vegas. And last week, you saw their pace was completely. I mean, Oscar's pace was phenomenal, but Norris's pace, you see, there's a dip in it. So I do think could he have been relying on that board? Could that have been the reason that he had been doing so well? We don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like you said, he's never been in this position before. If he hasn't been in this position before, how do you react? Is it just another race? Treat it like another race. But what happens when treating it like another race turns into, hopefully this doesn't get banned. Oh shit, I'm losing. Oh shit, I'm fourth. Oh shit,
Yeah.
Max is first and I'm fifth. What happens then? You don't know, right? So
yeah, right.
you cannot treat this like any other game. This is the rice. This is the race of your life, right? Because you may never get another chance like this. Because this is the last time DRS is being used. It's the last time with the ground. What is it? The ground. I think you would know more than I do. I don't know. Oh my god.
There's a lot of things that are getting changed.
Yeah, the grounding effect rule.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of that. Last time with 20 cars. Last time that Honda is gonna be a part of Red Bull. I think they're switching over to. Right. What are they switching over to?
They're switching over to Ford.
That's what it is.
They're actually, funny enough, they're doing their car reveal Red Bull is in Detroit on January 15th.
Look at
I
that,
think I'm
guys.
going to
If
go
you
to it.
wanna go
I think I'm
anywhere,
going
go
to
to Detroit.
go.
Yeah, go to Detroit.
I think I'm going to go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this is the end of an era. You won't get this chance ever again. You cannot treat it like any other race. So because you cannot treat it like any other race,
Right.
that raises the stakes and it raises your emotions a whole lot more. So I think we're gonna see how Norris responds to it all. And I think he's got it in him, but I think just one tiny slip, the slightest of slips, I think that could send him over the edge and send him crashing down. So we'll have
Yeah,
to
I
wait
mean,
and see.
all it takes is for him to do exactly what he did at the start of the Vegas Grand Prix, cuts over. He's starting on pole, Max is second, cuts over, tries to cut him off, completely locks up, and now he's in fourth place. He's out, basically, of fighting for first place. In turn one, he's out. So, especially with the new layout of the track this year in Abu Dhabi, this could be set up for an all-time great final race of the season. And like you said, great race to an end of the era. New cars, new engines, new everything coming into Formula One next year. New team, instead of 20 drivers, there's going to be 22, 11 teams instead of 10. So this is a big, Kick Sauber turning into Audi, Cadillac, American team joining the grid. So it's gonna be sad. I'm gonna be sad that it's over. However, that's the best thing about Formula One. It ends at the beginning of December. Then the first race for the next season, first weekend in March. So it's not that long of a break for them. But yeah, this is my most look for. I'll be up early Sunday morning watching this game. You might be up earlier for West Coast time. It starts at 8 a.m. here, so it's 5 a.m. start for you.
5 a.m. start over here. I'm gonna find a way. I might not sleep. I'll be working tomorrow. As far as I know, I'll probably get off at 2 a.m. So I just might not sleep. So you guys,
Perfect.
maybe we'll make a video Sunday afternoon just talking about that race, and you'll see me just absolutely devastated, just like this, just not even caring. But yeah, I think this is if you're gonna end an era, what a way to end it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna transition to our last topic for the day. A lot of you football fans, yes, we talk a lot of football, but that's because it's football season. Again, there's exciting things going on. You got the NBA started, right? Hockey is starting again. Baseball finished. Dodgers World Series champions. I have my hat somewhere in here. I'll put it on before the end of the video. But yeah, we will talk about other sports. We'll probably try to keep them, we'll keep them short just so you guys don't have to hear us to talk for like 5 hours, because we could. This is our dream, talking about sports. So we're gonna transition over to the NFL playoff races, and we're gonna talk about a couple of games. We'll start off with last night's, the Lions and the Cowboys, a must-win for both teams. Joe, take it over.
All right, this was essentially the first playoff game of the year, realistically, for either of these teams. Both sitting, at 8 and 10 spots to get into the playoffs, and the Lions ended up winning. I was a bit nervous heading into last night. I actually told a few of my buddies don't bet on the Lions because I actually thought they were going to lose, considering the Cowboys just beat Philly and then Kansas City on Thanksgiving. So they're coming into Detroit. And I was like, well, the Lions haven't looked great. Lions lost to Philly and Kansas City. But it was a good, solid win for the Lions. Unfortunately, for the Lions, the injury bug just keeps biting them. Brian Branch tore his Achilles, out for the year. So that's a bummer, especially considering we have Kirby Joseph out, other safety, and Terrion Arnold on the IR. So, once again this season for the Lions, injury bug gets them, but some of that is not. Some of their losses have not been on injuries. They haven't been great this year. Um, I was pleased with the overall performance yesterday of the Lions, but they need a lot of help to get into the playoffs. To be honest, I told my dad this. He didn't really like that I said this, but I told him I thought the Lions were going to miss the playoffs. So I still think they will. I still think they will. I don't think, especially with Chicago already having not being 9-3. Green Bay Lions lost both games to Green Bay this year, and the Lions lost one to Minnesota. It's a bad loss. So Lions are going to need a lot of help to get into the playoffs, but I still think they can. I just don't think they will, unfortunately.
Yeah, and yes, I mean, your saving grace last night. Honestly, obviously the win, a dominating win. Honestly, that Dallas defense looked like it was the defense that started this season. It couldn't stop a nosebleed. Couldn't like, and it's obviously Cowboys lost CD Lamb concussion. Probably gonna be out a week or two. Dak throwing 2 picks. That second pick, in my opinion, a little questionable, but game was over at that point.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered honestly anyways, and I think that's why they ruled it an interception. But yeah, saving grace for the Lions. Amon-Ra came back, looked like he didn't get injured at all. It was insane. He was out there juking, cutting, just honestly all over the field, making plays, blocking, anything. And Jameson Williams, great game for him. Isaac, I don't want to mispronounce his name. Tesla, yeah. Touchdown for him, Yeah, it was offensively one of the best games you've ever seen from the Lions. And thank you to Jahmyr Gibbs. Real quick, Jahmyr Gibbs, if you ever see this video, thank you. It is the first week of the playoffs, and you have done me a great service. So I really, really thank you. But yeah, let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs' stats real quick. Let me pull it up real quick. I think he had 3 touchdowns actually. How many scrimmage yards? I don't know if you have it. You have it right there with
you. He's just well, yeah. I know he had he had like 40, 43 or 45 rushing yards. I think he had he had 120 plus rushing and receiving yards with 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a productive day through the air. He had 7 catches for
77
around
yards.
80 yards. So he I mean, he's my favorite, man. Every time he steps out on the field, I think he's the best player out there, and it's not even close. Just so fast, so elusive, so explosive. Just, I mean, you see him turn the corner, and you're just like, see ya, he's gone. No one's catching him.
Absolutely, and
honestly, he also tied Barry Sanders' record most touchdowns before the age of 24. So he's special. He's special.
I did see that. I saw it during the game yesterday. 46 touchdowns before the age of 24. Insanity, honestly. When you really think about it, he's what, second, third season?
This is his third.
All right, so he's at 17 puts you at 34 plus. That was week 14. Did they have their bye week already?
They did. The Lions did.
So that's 13, 34, 13 comes out to 47. Yeah, a touchdown a game. Just underneath a touchdown a game, which is yeah, that's great. That's great. That's amazing. So, I mean, when contract time comes,
especially when he splits carries with Montgomery.
Oh yeah, exactly. And Montgomery, a great running back as well. But Jahmyr Gibbs is just so much more usable, versatile. It's tough. But Montgomery, RB1 anywhere else, 100%. RB1 anyone else.
Yeah.
A luxury to have both of those. And quite honestly, the Lions, you guys get your things figured out. I don't see you missing the playoffs, but it is hard considering you got the Seahawks, Packers, and Niners all looking extremely hot. So it's gonna be a battle.
Yeah, and the Lions play the Rams next week.
Oof, that's right. Oh
So
man.
and they still have the Bears. They still have one with Minnesota. They still have the Steelers on the schedule. So
Oh, well,
it's it's
it's a rough schedule to end the
they're
season.
gonna
I gotta be honest.
if they win out, they're in. Um, but I just don't see them beating the Rams.
Mm. Well, I mean, the
So
Rams are human. The Rams are human. We saw that. So we'll,
true. They just lost to Carolina.
yeah. The real quick, just real quick sidebar. Who is Carolina? What is that team? It is a flip of a coin every single week when you see Carolina. I can't I can't
But
I can't fathom it. Genuinely.
yeah, they're 6-0 at home and they're 1-6 on the road. Put when they play in Carolina, they just win.
Yeah.
When they're not, they lose. So and that's a big they could come out of the blue and take that conference. They really could.
They could,
With
because I
Tampa
believe.
kind of not playing as well,
Yeah.
they really could. They really could make a comeback and,
Yeah.
and play, especially if Bryce Young keeps playing the way he's playing. He's playing phenomenal. 2 really good weeks in a row for him. So, I mean, if he can keep playing at this level, kind of what we saw from him when he was at Alabama, this team is a good team.
Yeah, because the Bucks, like you said, slowing down, and it started with not the Rams game, but the week before that. I forget who they played, but yeah, they're kind of fighting for their life a bit too in that division. So we'll see. Panthers
Yeah,
could
I
come
mean,
out the blue.
Tampa's sitting at 7-5, and Carolina 7-6, and they still have to play each other twice. They haven't played each other yet.
I
All I'm saying is, before the season, I told my dad, I told some of my buddies, sleeper team, Carolina.
and 100% a
Didn't look
sleeper
good
team.
at first. Now it's looking good.
Yeah, 100% a sleeper team without a
So
doubt. But yeah, we'll see.
yeah,
We'll see how they turn out. We'll move on to the next game of the week. Colts Jags AFC South divisional game. Quite honestly, another division that is super competitive, almost a three-way race. The Texans are one game behind both of those. Colts, obviously, we all know Daniel Jones looked like the MVP of the league. Jonathan Taylor had a strong case to honestly take the MVP of the league before their recent collapse. Jags out of nowhere got their get right game against the Chargers 2 weeks ago. Of course, had to happen. Um, their defense, led by not Trayvon Walker. Is it Trayvon's Walker? Yeah, I think it's Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines Allen, and honestly, just a solid secondary. They're looking to come in and wreak some havoc. At Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna find it right here for you. Colts versus Jacksonville.
well,
I
the
don't know if it's
Jags are at
home.
home.
Jags are at home. So yeah, it looks like they're looking to make it. What's it called? Make a statement at home. Take the division. Take the divisional crown. I think, in my opinion, Daniel Jones has run his course. Jonathan Taylor and that offensive line, I'm not too sure what's kind of going on with them, but I still think that they will keep the Colts in this game. They'll keep Jacksonville on the defense on the field. They'll wear them down, kind of tire out that team just consistently and enough to make them not be able to be as physical anymore, which is kind of what you want as an offense. You want to wear down the defense, take their physicality away from them, just right up the gut. So I think honestly, I think the Colts do take this. I think it is not a shootout. I'd say it's going to be a 21-24 type of game. Just punches being blown, and the other team answering back. I think it'll be a close game all the way to the end. You'll see a game-winning field goal, and I think the Colts are going to go home with a win.
Yeah, I would. You know, Colts are Colts started the year. Colts started the year 7-1. They're now 8-4. Um, Jacksonville took up that number one spot in the AFC South. Like you said, Houston, they also have a big game this week that we will talk about, but they're sitting there in the 3 spot right behind Indianapolis. But I just think Jacksonville is going to be too much for them unless Jonathan Taylor can really get something going on this Jacksonville defense. But however, this Jacksonville defense has a ton of takeaways on the year. They get turnovers. They put Trevor Lawrence back out on the field. So I think I agree with you. I think this is going to be a really competitive game. The spread is a coin flip. It's the Colts are -1.5. The over under is 46.5. But I like the Jags in the spot at home. Get a good grasp on this AFC South division.
Yeah, and we've seen obviously Trevor Lawrence has kind of resurged the back end after I think he was injured this season, if I'm not mistaken. He missed a game. I might be wrong. I might be thinking about last year. I know he missed the game last year. But yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence resurged. Obviously, they kind of came back, got their get right game against the Chargers 2 weeks ago, and have since then not looked back. Brian Thomas Jr., I believe, is out still, but I think he's coming back this week. Concussion protocol, or I don't know if it was an injury. I'll double check that. But yeah, I mean, they traded for Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers has absolutely helped Trevor Lawrence relieve some of that pressure. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a coin flip. And you pick the Jags, I pick the Colts. I honestly, if you're right, if the Jags keep getting the ball back for Trevor Lawrence, it's tough to keep running the ball. Gonna trust Danny Dimes on that, and Danny Dimes is not really someone you want to constantly put the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'd say we're split right there. Colts Jags. We'll move on to the next game. Steelers Ravens, AFC North. Honestly, title grab right here. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
whoever wins this game kind of has the chance to take a run and win the division. But I think the Steelers actually have a tougher schedule coming up than the Ravens. Let's check right here. Let me see. Yes, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Sunday, 10 a.m. I believe it's in Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium. Lamar Jackson was injured this week, coming back today or yesterday, came back full participant in practice. Steelers offense, Aaron Rodgers missed the back half of the game. Last week was absolutely clobbered by the Bills D line, and then I don't know, honestly. This one kind of goes either way. They're both not looking their best. I'll let you take this one. I quite honestly have no real opinion on this one.
Yeah, this is a tough game for both teams. I feel I similar to you. I feel whoever wins this game has a really good shot of winning this division. But you know, this might sound crazy, but I wouldn't count out Cincinnati quite yet. Burrow back, they just beat the Ravens. Cincinnati has, I think, not the hardest final stretch. I mean, they do play Buffalo this week, so if they can pick up that win, then they'll just have to play the Ravens again, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. If they could win out and finish 9-8 on the year, and I think that very well could be enough to win that division. However, we're going to stay focused on this game. This is a big game for both these coaches, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. They're, in my opinion, they're arguably fighting for their career in this game. I really do think if the Ravens miss the playoffs somehow, I think they would part ways with Harbaugh. And then with Tomlin, how long do the Steelers want to be mediocre? That's really, really the question. How long do they want to be one game above 500, get bounced in the first round of the wild card game? So, I mean, this game is these coaches are fighting for their career, in my opinion. But the spread is Ravens -6. I hate that spread. That I do a pick 'em with my dad. We every week we pick all the spreads. I had no clue what to take in this game. So I just took Ravens -6 at home. But I really don't like it, to be honest with you. This is I think this is going to be an ugly, ugly game. Low scoring, 16-14 win. And I don't know why I would take the Ravens -6 if I think that's the score, but what do I know? This is an ugly game. I mean, there's no way around it.
No way around. A big game regardless, but as you said, no way around it.
Right.
Ugly game. You're right. I don't see it coming up. I don't see either team scoring more than 20 points. I think other than the playoff last year, I think the last time either team scored over 20 was about 3-4 seasons ago. It's been low scoring. It's been gritty. It's not I don't want to say not a fun game to watch, but it's kind of not. It's a defensive game. You run the ball, play action, see just who breaks first at the end of the day. And Steelers defense, highest paid defense in the league, looks shaky. Ravens, you kind of see the age start coming up on Derrick Henry. Not that explosive, not that strength anymore. It still eats great, still looks great, but appearances and everything, right? So,
Right.
a little tough.
I mean, Lamar hasn't looked like the level we saw him since he came back from his injury a few weeks ago. And also, we have Aaron Rodgers. He got a cast on his left hand. I mean, this is going to be a gross, cold game. And like you said, I mean, these AFC North games are always competitive. They're always tight, and we'll have to see what happens. But if I had to bet this game, I'm definitely not going to bet this game. But if I had to, I would probably take the Ravens -6.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. I think Ravens just that slight health factor over the Steelers, and again, like you said, Tomlin and Harbaugh pretty much fighting for their jobs at this point. Both fan bases are kind of tired of them. They're kind of like, all right, there hasn't been any real success. You win 1 or 2 playoff games in a span of 5 years, they'll look at you and be like, all right, like he's led us there. He's kind of got us on the right track. It's been about I forget how many years it's been for Tomlin. I want to say about 17. 17 years.
Yeah, I think this is year 18 for Tomlin.
Is it? Yeah, and he hasn't won
Well,
one
he's been since 07 was his first year, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Or 08. It's either 16 or 17 or 18 years. I believe his first year was 07.
And he hasn't won.
It could be 08 though.
Yeah, hasn't won a playoff game.
Yeah, hasn't won a playoff game since 2016.
2016.
2018. 28, one of the two.
Yeah, it's
either way, too long.
Yeah, it's been too long, and you can't even recollect it. So it's an issue.
For a coach of his caliber, that's too long.
Exactly, and it dates back to the Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and the young Chris Boswell. I think even James Harrison was there the last time they won a playoff game. So it's just Mike Tomlin. It kind of seems his time is coming.
Yeah.
I'd say even if you get that winning record, 9-8, you've got to go. You've got to go. You make it to the playoffs by some miracle, by some way. You don't win. Goodbye. You kind of got to go out with the old, in with the new. It's you got to evolve.
And I mean, I mean too. Also, you can look at it from a good angle from the Steelers, where they could trade him and get picks for him. Sean Payton was traded 2 years ago, so the Steelers could trade him, and even if they just coach. So if Tomlin gets fired, he'll find another job, I'm sure.
Oh,
and there'll be a lot of teams that would take him.
I think the Giants would be a very nice suitor for Tomlin, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the Giants would be a very even
I
attractive.
don't know. I don't know if he could handle that New York media.
I think honestly,
I
Tomlin's
don't
not
know if
been
he
one
could
for
handle that.
media. I don't know if he's ever been one for media, but I think he'll be fine. I think it'd be a very good opportunity for him to start fresh. I think the offenses that he runs and the defense that he runs, it kind of suits that team. And it's an attractive job. Funny
Mhm.
enough, it's attractive. It really is. You got Jackson Dart,
It
Cam
is. It is a
Stradbrook,
very attractive
yeah,
job.
Malik Neighbors over there on the offensive side of the ball. You got Dexter Lawrence. That defense
Yeah.
honestly was top 10 the first couple of weeks of the league of the year. So it
Yeah.
you could find a way to shape them up. But we went off topic a lot. That was the Steelers
Yeah. Sorry.
Ravens. I think we're both in agreement. Steelers are probably gonna no, my bad. Ravens will probably win. I'd say honestly, you'd say -6. I would say it might be
Yeah.
like I'd say it's a 3-point game. Either way, honestly.
So
So
you take the Steelers +6.
probably. Yeah, I would say it's a
Yeah.
3-point swing either way. I'd say either team can really win either way. I'd say the Ravens just have that slight bit of more health than the Steelers do, and Aaron Rodgers, obviously with the cast in his hand, already looks unmobile. Yeah, it's just not. It doesn't look good for the Steelers.
Yeah.
So, but that is that pick. Our next big pick, which is in your division, you actually might want a team
Mm.
you despise to win this one. Bears and Packers.
Hmm. Yeah, I would love the Packers win, to be honest. For the Lions, this is how tight the NFC North or the NFC playoff picture is. The Bears are currently in first place in the NFC. If you would have told me that heading into week 14, the Bears would be sitting in first place in the NFC, I would have probably laughed. But if the Packers win, the Bears drop to the seventh seed. That shows how competitive this NFC playoff picture is. Now the Packers, Jordan Love, he's had a few good weeks in a row. Ben Johnson finally is getting his feet going in Chicago. They're 9-3. But it's at Lambeau. The Packers are -6.5. The ESPN matchup predictor has the Packers have a 69% chance to win this game against Chicago. But Chicago's coming off a great win at Philly. Now I know Green Bay just beat beat the Lions on Thanksgiving last week, but this is a good. Both teams are coming off really good wins, and this will be a very competitive game. I feel the big key factor in this game is going to be Caleb Williams. How will he respond to this Packers pass rush with Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons? The Lions struggled with the Packers pass rush in both games they played in Week 1 and on Thanksgiving. So this is going to be a really good game. I have a feeling this. I also have a feeling this could be low scoring. Maybe a 20, 27-14 win for the Packers. I think the Bears are really going to struggle this week against the Packers because I think the Packers are one of those Super Bowl or bust teams. So, and I don't think the Bears are ready for that just yet to go up against teams like that because the the Bears beating the the Eagles, that was their first team they beat this year with a winning record. So, and the two teams they lost to the Vikings, or excuse me, the three teams they lost to the Vikings week 1, the Lions week 2, and then they lost to the Ravens. And the Ravens are 6-6. And they lost to the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. So I would love a Packers win as a Lions fan. That doesn't mean I'm rooting. Well, I'll be rooting for the Packers, but not like rooting for them. Kind of like how you would root for, you know, I don't know how you're gonna root.
Yeah,
So
I
like who are you rooting for in the Broncos Chiefs game a few weeks ago?
I was definitely rooting Broncos. I'm not gonna lie. I would say bury the Chiefs as deep as
Right.
possible. And next game, I want the Chiefs to win because I want obviously a comeback and win a shot at that divisional title. Which I mean, a divisional title, it's
Yeah.
a lot of people say like, oh, it means something. It means something. It really doesn't. It obviously it puts you in the top four. Puts you in the top four seeding. But I mean, a divisional title. The only reason we know that Kansas City was the division leaders for the last 5 years is because they've been to the Super Bowl 4 out of the 5 times, right? Before that, who was the
Right.
last one to win it before the Chiefs? You don't know. So, divisional titles are cool and all. It really is only just for the playoff
The
seedings.
Bengals.
Yeah,
I got it, to win the AFC West. I
yeah,
got
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So my bad. Oh yeah, I meant like each specific division, like AFC West, NFC, stuff like that. So, I'll definitely root for the
Yeah,
Chiefs
yeah.
next time in the Broncos play, but I won't be rooting. I'm like just beat the Broncos, just beat the Broncos. Like that's it.
Mhm.
Like this weekend, technically, I'm
Right.
like
That's how I
rooting.
feel about
Yeah,
the.
I'm rooting for the Raiders to beat the Broncos. Right. I'm not. I don't want them to like. Oh, be
Right.
good. Like I
Right.
just want you to do enough to go and beat the Broncos. So I would say
Right.
there's that. But yeah, so that's the Bears Packers one. I got nothing to add to that. I think
Wait. Pick my -6.5 for the Packers. What's your
minus six
uh?
and a half.
I'll take the Packers -6.5.
Really? I don't know if it'll be.
Yeah.
It's what minus is always under, right?
-6.5 is the Packers are favored to win by 6.5 points. So the Packers would have to win by 7 to cover.
Oh, I see. So it's by 6.5 or more. That's right. And then plus is by 6.5 or less. That correct?
Plus is you add 6.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Um, I would say I'd take the Packers. I'd take the Packers minus. Yeah. I think that. Well, is it? It's in Lambeau
That's
or
what
is it in
I
Chicago?
correct. Yeah, it's in Green Bay.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, 100%. In Lambeau, in the cold weather, in December, the Bears have used that. No, like I have no problem against the Bears. I like Caleb Williams, mostly because he's a USC product. I think his off the field antics and things like that are just do what you want kind of things, but yeah, I don't see them beating the Packers. I think Micah Parsons and that defense are clearly just too much for them. Yeah, so I'd say Packers take that one, and then I'm gonna pause this real quick. I'm actually gonna pause this for real. All right, short little break right there. Had to use the bathroom. For those of you who don't know me, I drink so much water that at the end of the night, I use the bathroom about like 15 times in the span of 2 hours. So, apologies, but we're gonna get right back into it. So, that was Bears Packers. We agreed -6.5 for the Packers. Pack will take that one in Lambeau. They'll take the divisional crown for the NFC North. Next game is it. It's gonna put a smile on my face if it goes the way I think it is. Um, but it's gonna cause some honestly untrue conversations about a certain head coach. Texans Chiefs. The way I think it's gonna go is you saw a healthy Bills offensive line go against that Texans defense a couple Thursdays ago. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, the entirety of the defensive line, it just smothered Josh Allen. 8 sacks. It wasn't even close. The game was close, but like you kind of knew it was gonna happen. And so I would say that I think it's gonna be a slaughter for the Chiefs. I think that Texans defensive line is going to be just too much for the offensive line of the Chiefs, and we're just gonna see an absolute slaughter for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is gonna go down about 7 times. Andy Reid is gonna be criticized for no reason. And the Texans are gonna pick up a good win, I think, at Kansas City too. Let me find out real quick.
It is, yeah. The spread in this game is Kansas City -3.5.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
the spread for this game.
I think that
I'm on board with you. I'm all Houston this game. I think, like you said, that Houston, their front four is going to be way too much for that Kansas City O line and Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, Will Anderson Jr. and company, they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna get to him a handful of times in that game, and I think the Chiefs in this game are going to have to rely on the explosive plays, and Houston doesn't give up explosive plays. So,
yeah, and it's going to be just absolutely brutal, for the Chiefs. I think they're running.
My pick would be Houston plus 3.5. That's my pick for this game.
Yeah, I agree. The offensive line's not going to be able to get the run going, which, I mean, run blocking is a little bit easier, but as a defense, you see a team lining up with 2 tight ends trying to stop, trying to get the run going. You kind of just fill the box, and makes it a little bit more difficult when you fill the box against Patrick Mahomes, because now you have less athletic people to try and contain him, and if he just wants to kind of run around, you get that a little awkwardness where he's got that like the deceptive speed. He looks really slow, but for some reason you look at your players and you're like, oh, I know that player's fast, and you just right on by. So I think that
there he goes.
I think for sure it's gonna be a close game, but I think Texans will be up the entire time, and it's gonna be a comeback that falters at the end for the Chiefs. So you got Texans plus 3.5. I'd take that. I think that's a solid choice right there. Not much else that I got to add to that, honestly.
Yeah, me neither. We pretty much. It's gonna be all Houston defense on Sunday night, and the Chiefs will be out. They'll have almost zero chance to get into the playoffs, considering they won't have a tiebreaker over Buffalo, they won't have the tiebreaker over Houston, they won't have a tiebreaker over Jacksonville, and as of right now, they don't have a tiebreaker over the Chargers or over Denver. So their only tiebreaker right now is Indianapolis.
Exactly. Yeah, they are at the 10th seed currently. If they win, they have a 50-50 chance. If they lose, they're looking at 11%. Right. And that is
with Denver and the Chargers still on the schedule.
Exactly. Yeah, they're I'm gonna check their schedule real quick. The Chiefs' schedule. It's not incredibly tough for the rest of the season. Obviously, they play the Texans. Gonna be brutal. They then play the Chargers the week after. Chargers, we'll talk about them in a bit. They're kind of a on and off team. Then they play the Titans, should be a win. Then they play the Broncos, who are probably going to be fighting for a 1 seed. They're going to be fighting for the 1 seed with the Patriots, and the Patriots don't have too much of a hard schedule. Let me pull that up real fast. Patriots schedule.
Yeah, I think the Patriots' only tough game left is Buffalo.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's it.
Well, they got the Ravens after, so I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. They got the Bills and the Ravens back to back, but they end the season with the Jets and the Dolphins.
Yeah, now, that's tricky.
Now, I would say they got 2 games that they have to go 1-1 in, right? And I say these last two games with the Jets and the Dolphins, in my personal opinion, there's no way you lose those games. Not with the way you've been playing. Not with the way that oh god, I almost said Matt Patricia. Mike Vrabel has set up your team. You don't lose those games. I think you're coming there. The Bills are coming to New England. I don't see you losing that game either. You go to Baltimore.
I don't either. I mean, yeah. I think I don't think they're gonna lose again. I think the Patriots are in my opinion, clear cut best team in the NFL, and I really don't think it's too close to be honest. I think the Rams have a good case, but I think the Patriots they're a level above everyone else this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I was talking about this with a friend of mine earlier. The Patriots also do have an easy schedule because they ended up second or third in their division last year. So they haven't had to play too many competitive teams other than their own division. And I mean, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. So
it does. It does.
I would say Patriots might be, in the fight for the 1 seed along with the Broncos next week and the rest of the season. So I'd say the Chiefs, because we were talking about the Chiefs schedule. The Chiefs got Texans this week, Chargers next week. Then they play the Titans, which is a should win game. Then you got the Broncos, who I think by week 17, they're still going to be in that fight. And then week 18, they play the Raiders, which is a win game. So I would say you got to come out of this 5-game stretch with all 5 wins. You got to win them all.
They do.
You got to win them all. Yeah.
Starting in the Indianapolis game, I believe they had to go 7-0 or 6-1 to get in. And we're 2 games into that, and they're 1-1.
Yeah.
They can't lose again.
Yeah, you cannot afford a single loss.
Because like we mentioned earlier, they don't have tiebreakers. It's not like they have a tiebreaker over Buffalo and a tiebreaker over Jacksonville. That Jacksonville loss is going to haunt them if they miss the playoffs, and Jacksonville gets in. And Jacksonville gets in not the AFC South winner. Mm-hmm. That win or that loss will haunt them.
Absolutely. Yep. And I mean, luckily enough, they play the Chargers. They don't have the tiebreaker with the Chargers next week. They play the Chargers next week at Arrowhead. So, again, if you do lose to the Texans and you beat the Chargers, you've essentially split the series, but I don't know how much that helps you. I mean, it brings down the wild card a bit. So you kind of get just that much more, but with splitting the series, you no longer have a head-to-head. Like, you just the fact that you split the series, you beat the Chargers this time, there's no real how do I say this? No real tiebreaker for you. You don't go over the Chargers because of it.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, this is a must-win for Kansas City. In my opinion, they lose, they're out. They have no chance of getting in if they lose, unless they get miracles that happen for them, and somehow certain teams lose and they somehow squeak into the 7. But I really think if Houston wins and Kansas City loses, Kansas City is out.
Mm-hmm. And not mathematically.
And that leaves a wide open. Correct, not mathematically, but I think it'd be very difficult for them to get in.
Yeah, especially with the way other teams are playing. But
right.
Yeah, we might see for the first time in 7 years no Chiefs in the playoffs, no Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and that'll be. I mean, a lot of fans around the world will celebrate the Chiefs dynasty is over, but we might have just created the Patriots dynasty again. So don't know how much you wanted to trade that for.
Right.
So yeah, right. But we'll move on to our last game that we wanted to talk about. Eagles Chargers, because this is actually a huge playoff game. This could be a playoff game. And I think
I believe all the games we've talked about are essentially playoff games.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, and this one would be if you were to put this on a playoff weekend, I would definitely say this one should be the last one. Eagles on a 2-game skid. The Chargers looking to just find a way to go and take the divisional crown, get better seeding, but they've gone on and had the title of frauds for the past couple of weeks, right? And the Eagles as well. The Eagles are struggling offensively. Their defense has been carrying them through games, and as you've seen, injuries occurring to their defense and to their offensive line. It's a stale offense. It's a defense that's hungry and will get the ball back for your team, but you're on the field too long. And the Chargers, with a couple of boosts coming back this week, you got Amari Hampton back. Justin Herbert, broken hand, had surgery on it on Monday. Looks like he's going to play. He's been a limited participant the last 2 days. They get one more practice tomorrow. And if he's a full participant by then, you'll see him play Monday night. Probably, I would say you rest him personally. As much as I'd love to go and win that game, you do not risk him, especially going into Kansas City next week, which is a divisional game. A win in the division does count a bit more than just a loss to a non-conference team. So yeah, I think I'd say this is gonna be a gritty game on Monday night. The Eagles are gonna find a way to get creative. Their defense is down Jalen Carter now, which is huge for the Chargers' offensive line and running game, with Omari Hampton coming back, because that is one big force of a dude right in front of your line. And if whoever steps up for him, I forget who else, Jordan Davis. They have Jordan Davis, huge, enormous guy. Not the same talent, not the same production as Jalen Carter. So we're gonna see who slugs it out better, honestly. And as much as it pains me to say, I think the Eagles might take this one. I think the Chargers just cannot get over that hump of beating a real playoff contender. I think the Eagles will squeak it out. I think this will be a 24-17 type game. And I think that's how the week is going to end. The Chargers will probably drop to the 7th seed in the playoffs. Let me just see real quick. They are 6th right now. No, where is it? Oh my God, I gotta search through all this. Playoff picture. Yeah, they are 8-4 right now. A loss would put them at 8-5. Colts lose 8-5. Bills win 8-5. You'd probably see them at the 7th seed. You'd have, actually, depending on the Texans win, you might even see them out of the playoffs. Actually, no, because I think that the Chargers have a better divisional record. They're 4-0, and the Texans are.
Is Herbert playing?
I would say.
I
would say he is. I don't think it's smart to play him. I would say he is going to play. I don't know if it would be smart to play him, but me personally, he's going to play. And I think that kind of puts a bit of fear in me, because every time he's played after a major injury, they've gotten smacked with recent history. So he broke his ribs a couple of games, a couple of seasons ago. Broke his ribs in Kansas City. Next game, plays against Jacksonville. They lose 34-10. Last year or the year before, they played the Panthers. Last year, actually, they played the Panthers. He gets a high ankle sprain. Plays the next week, and they absolutely get dominated by the Steelers. So it's not looking pretty, honestly, with his injury history and his record afterward. I think they've won one game after he's been, maybe questionable for a game and then plays. I think they've won 1 out of like 4. So you're sitting at 1-3 after Herbert gets an injury. I mean, your chances definitely are the same if you start Trey Lance at this point. I don't see much of a difference, honestly. I'd say you get that 50-50 chance of the Chargers winning still. So, do I think he'll play? Yes. Do I think it's smart? No. Especially with Kansas City coming up next week and you're in the fight for the divisional title. I would say rest him, let him get healthy, which, I mean, you're not going to get healthy after having surgery 1 week and then playing, 13 days later. But, that's just me. That's my opinion.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. Well, the spread in this game is the Eagles are -2.5. So what is your pick for the game?
-2.5 means they win by 2.5 or more, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I would. I think I would take it. Yeah, I would take the 2.5, the -2.5 for the Eagles. Hello? You might have froze. Technical difficulties, as always.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, hey, it happens. It happens. It ain't perfect.
This was one of the tougher games for me to pick for a couple of reasons. So this Philly team reminds me of the team from 2 years ago. 3 years ago they went to the Super Bowl, lost in that overtime to Kansas City, and then the following year they start off unbelievably hot. They're 8-1, 9-1, and then they just completely crumble, get absolutely blasted by the Bucs in the first round of the playoffs. Then they go back to the Super Bowl last year. They win the Super Bowl this year. They win the Super Bowl last year. This year, kind of the same thing. They started off hot. They started 8-2. Now they've lost 2 in a row. And you kind of see this trend with the Philadelphia Eagles over the past couple of years where, they're up 21-0 over Dallas 2 weeks ago. They lose 24-21. Last week, the Bears go to their place, put up over 200 rushing yards on this defense. And the Lions couldn't even do that. The Bears went and did it. So for the Chargers to win this game, they're going to have to establish that run game. And like you said, Herbert not being fully healthy, obviously, coming off of surgery, this is a good chance for the Chargers to get a game where Herbert doesn't have to be Superman. They can run the ball, eat up the time of possession, and kind of drive it down this Philadelphia team to end up winning, because this Philadelphia offense has been very lackluster, very underwhelming. And we see all the time in the media and on Twitter and AJ Brown complaining, but every time they fed AJ Brown the ball, they've lost. So I think this Philly offense is really struggling, and I think this is a good spot for the Chargers to go in, not fully healthy. They're at home as well. So shockingly, I know you're the Chargers guy, but I'll take the Chargers plus the points at home for this game.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 200-yard performance by the Bears. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Bears are one of the best run blocking teams in the league. And I just took a look at a graph a couple hours ago, actually, before we started this, because Chargers fan, obviously I'm going to search up everything. The Chargers are actually ranked second to last in every single aspect of blocking.
Wow.
Over the Browns. So,
well, I didn't know that.
So, as much as I would absolutely love to have that faith in, just running the ball 200 yards and kind of just keeping that lackluster Philadelphia offense off the field. It just statistically does not make sense, unfortunately, because that run game is awful. The pass blocking, even worse. And again, that defense for Philadelphia, still no joke. Still a great defense. So, can they squeak it out? Can they manage to just run the ball enough to win the game? Absolutely. I think Jim Harbaugh's established that identity. I think Jalen Carter missing the game and the next couple of weeks does weaken that defense a lot, but it doesn't do enough to weaken that defense, especially with the offensive line. And I'll pull it up right now, actually. I have it saved somewhere. And again, never take everything you see for gospel, but when you see something like that, considering the way they've played, it doesn't surprise you that they've been bad. It does not surprise you. I can't find it here, but when I do find it, I will put it in the edited part of this video. I'll put it right in this corner over here. I'll put it right here. So, yeah, those are our picks. I think we ended it up with Lions won, obviously. I think I said Colts, you said Jags. We both agreed on the Ravens winning. We both agreed on the Packers winning. Both agreed on the Texans winning, and we're split on Eagles and Chargers, which is funny because you're the Chargers. You're picking the Chargers, and I'm picking the Eagles. So hopefully I'm wrong just for the Chargers game. As you can see, this all back here. This brings me hope every Sunday, just to crush it every Sunday. But yeah, I think this is going to be the tightest playoff race we've seen in a while. The NFC is absolutely crazy. The AFC is kind of moving over back to the 2008 era. So we're going to have to wait and see for sure. But yeah, that's been our podcast for the day. Any parting thoughts, my good sir?
Excited for sports this weekend, big sports weekend like we brought up, Formula One championship, good NFL, conference championship games for college football. So, and good thing Pistons are doing.
That's right. The Pistons
this weekend for sports.
Pistons.
Michigan basketball, watch out. Those guys are good.
Oh man. Yeah, Lakers playing right now. Honestly, they're playing the Celtics. They are down by 23. So, gives you a look at what we're looking at right now. So, Lakers basketball, great offensively, terrible defensively, and in transition. So, that'll be a video for another time. It'll be a podcast for another time. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Again, this has been the Bearded Baldcast. But if you do have any name recommendations, any other ideas for us, just let us know and let us know what kind of sports you want us to talk about. We'll try and keep these videos up and out as many times as possible. We've been busy the last couple of months. Obviously, we made one back in August or June, May, long time ago. We've been trying to do it since, but we're finally back. So let's keep this train rolling. Thank you guys for everything. Joe, anything you want to say before we leave?
I'll subscribe, follow us. That's about it. Weekly podcast. So
weekly or bi-weekly, we'll try and figure it out. This month, honestly, weekly. We don't have too much going on. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Joe, thank you so much. You guys have a good one.